Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Samya Andrabi, and I'm the editor of the Clean Middle East magazine and your host today. In our previous webinars, we spoke about the challenges and opportunities facing the Nigerian cleaning market. We also identified some core issues and spoke about the need for training the unskilled workforce. Today, we take up another important trend spanning the global cleaning industry with a special reference to the Nigerian market: green cleaning. Apart from this webinar, Media Fusion and Isa Pulayar are also organizing a trade show for the professional clinic and hygiene industry in West Africa. The show will be held in Landmark Center, Lagos between 16th to 18th November 2022. Do participate in this exclusive trade show to meet new suppliers and make new partnerships. During the course of this webinar, you'll get plenty of opportunities to download a brochure with all the details of this trade show. Moving on, let me introduce you to our panel of experts today. Joining us today is Mr. Tunde Olagunju. Mr. Tunde is the founder and CEO of Renant Limited, a 27-year-old Lagos-based facilities management maintenance outfit with a clientele spread across major cities in Nigeria. In 2012, he also founded and managed Al Nafis Technical Services LLC in Dubai, providing specialized building maintenance services in the Emirate. He's a member of the Board of Trustees of the CPAN, while Renant has been a member of ISA since 2000. Next on our panel is Mr. Alessandro Abbas, Head of Marketing and Trade Marketing, Lucart. Alessandro is an experienced professional with over 17 years of track record in structured multinational companies operating in the FMCG industry, both at a local and at HQ level. In the actual role of Head of Marketing and Trade Marketing for the away from home sector in Lucart, Alexandro merged his structured view of business with the sustainability and innovation that characterized the company since its founding. Lucart is a leading forward-thinking manufacturer of tissue paper and hygiene solutions for at-home and away-from-home needs. Also joining us is Mr. Paul Erubami. Paul is currently the CEO of Maxmigo Limited, a specialist FM company providing management, technology, value-added, and cost reduction solutions to the property and FM industry, including FM software and BIM, recruitment, training, audits, assets, and a lot more. Paul holds the charter of the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. He's a certified facilities manager for both the International Facilities Management Association and the Institute of Workplace and Facilities Management. Our final speaker for this panel discussion is Mr. Alain Salame, General Manager, Wyndham Hotels and Resorts, Nigeria, because an end user's perspective matters the most to us. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, without further ado, we'll turn over the time to our panel. If you have any questions, please type them into the question box on your panel and I'll bring them up during the webinar. We will also have a quick Q&A session with our experts in the end. So let's begin. Alessandro, I would like to start with you. If you can tell us the need for green cleaning all over the world.
Yes. Hi to everybody. Thanks for inviting me, for having me today. So it's a great honor. You already mentioned a few words about Lucard. Just to let me say, share with you what is our core business, which is tissue paper production. We sell in over 70 countries around the world. Our main countries, core markets, are in Europe, but we extend our scope also to other regions and to other continents. As head of marketing, as you were rightly said, in my position, it's very important to state in the beginning that we have a kind of position of privilege, being part of a company which has three different branches, so away from home, consumer business, and also B2B, that we have the opportunity to see also the consumer trends that usually come first, and so that we are able also to exploit in our away from home business. So at a global level, we have been pioneering this thing since the late 90s, being one of the first eco-label certified companies with our products. For the green economy, for the green cleaning in general, we already have started this path a long time ago, and this is becoming, of course, kind of mainstream. So talking about tissue, which is our core business, of course, we see that eco-label certified and recycled products are already mainstream. So we're moving ahead with more, let me say, um, opportunities into the circular economy rather than just selling recycled products, which are, as I was saying, are nowadays already mainstream. And in particular, we do believe that in green cleaning in general, the importance of certification is becoming more and more solid and more required also by our customers. And the fact is that in general, maybe this can be seen as if it's short-sighted or in the short term, this can be seen as an additional cost. And very likely it's going to be like this in all the countries. But we strongly believe that given the fact that the legislation so is changing rapidly, not just in Europe but also in other countries, and this would be a worldwide trend, of course, with taxes on plastics and other kind of polluting materials. We are already moving since years in this direction. This is just valid not for the tissue business but also for other cleaning products. So as I was saying, certification is really important. Circular economy will be the next, is already the new trend, so which is becoming more and more solid and spreading across the globe. As I was saying, so this has to be seen as an opportunity that cannot be underestimated by all the customers and all the companies, even the ones that are now maybe safe, because with customers and consumers requiring more and more this kind of products, you will be soon out of a market if you don't move quickly. So also for our business, as I was mentioning, we have the privilege to see the consumer trends coming first, and usually this trickle down. The trend is, of course, something that is investing also and impacting the away from home business. We have let's say 1.5 years of advantage if we see the consumer trends. And for the future ahead, of course, the greatest impact will be on packaging. We know that the plastic packaging is kind of quite outdated material. We already, for example, also mentioning what Lookout as a company is doing since years. We already shifted to paper packaging, not just because of taxes which are increasing for plastics, but also because we strongly believe that this can be an advantage for our products. And we also have, let me say, our signature products for not just recycled paper packaging, recycled paper, but also for with a paper which is called fiber pack, which is made by beverage cartons. So this is in the fashion of the circular economy I was mentioning before. So as a global trend, is not just about recycling, but also about reducing the impact with the ambition to achieve the famous carbon neutrality that has to invest all the company, not just the marketing or sales. It has to be eradicated strongly in all the departments of the company, because it's also about reducing the water consumption, reducing electricity consumption. And in the recent months, this has become really even more important because of the high increase for resources, so for electricity, water, and whatever. And this is not over yet. We unfortunately we see all the different crises impacting from logistics to sourcing costs for different materials. That if we want to keep our margins and our competitiveness, we have to invest even more in this kind of campaigns and this kind of projects, which have final result in the short term, as I was saying, of a higher cost for the company, but in the mid-long term, it will be something that we cannot do without if we want to stay competitive in the business. So for the away from home marketing, I have to say that it's quite different against the consumer one, because there is no direct, let me say, contact and direct communication chance to speak directly to our consumers. So the role of distributors and other, let me say, part of the value chain is really important if we want that message to be conveyed in the best way, in the most effective way to our business partners. So we are putting in place a lot of instruments and tools to let our partners, meaning distributors and also end customers. When I talk about end customers, I mean, for example, the owner of a restaurant who buys our products. We have to let them be in a position to have and to spread the message with their own customers. So this is, let me say, adding an additional layer of communication. So it requires even more, even stronger investments. But we are also moving in this sense more in terms of communication, in terms of tools, which are able to, for example, let our customers who have, for example, our private label to foresee the impact in terms of life cycle assessment, in terms of environmental impact of their products, starting from the design of the product itself. So as you were asking, what are the main trends in the green clean economy? I think that the important role of the industry is also the one to provide with let me say, consultancy like tools to a business partner, sorry, because we have financial means and also the structural means in terms of complexity, knowledge of the complexity of the business to convey this message. So we can leverage definitely on that. And if that will not be the case, we will be out of the market in no more than 5 years, I think. So the speed of changes is increasing a lot, also due to the pandemic and to the crisis that I was mentioning before.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alessandro. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. Mr. Tunde, would you like to add to this? What is the need for green cleaning with a special reference to the Nigerian market?
Thank you very much for having me. Good day to everybody, participants and speakers. Well, I'm taking it from there. The need is huge. There is certainly a need. If we go to the concept of green cleaning itself, which has to do with the health, cleaning in a healthy arrangement, without dispensing with the environment, that is cleaning in a way, you apply products and systems that are friendly to the environment. Okay? So with that as a concept, there can be no argument as to whether there is a need for it or it is necessary. Okay? We don't have to go into the carbon footprints and all the likes, but in Nigeria, we have real environmental challenges. A lot of them have to do with a way of life, and so you have pollution here and there. You have a lot of plastic wastes. He talked about plastic waste, and that's very interesting. You find that in Lagos, for example, in Lagos alone, Lagos generates about 9,000 metric tons of waste daily. 86% of which consists of plastic waste. And because there are very poor waste management systems, they're still very weak. Most of the time they find their way into the drainages, and the landfill sites are there. And plastic products don't actually decompose. They almost last forever, 450 years. They don't degenerate, they don't break down, up to say 1,000 years. Researchers have been able to prove that. And then in Nigeria, we have the general problem of regulation. Yes, we have some laws, some agencies that are supposed to regulate, or they're supposed to enforce health practices and practices that would help safeguard the environment. But there are institutional weaknesses that is a challenge, for the system. On the government's part, there have been attempts to legislate. I think it was in the year 2019, the Federal House of Representatives passed the plastic bags prohibition bill. It was put together in 2018, but that was brought out in 2019. And the issue was treated with levity. And up to today, we're yet to have good enforcement of that. So the government needs to demonstrate good political will, to enforce this thing. So the need is huge. If we go to the economics of it, the need for green cleaning is there. However, there are factors that come in between that. In competing with the traditional ways of cleaning, using ordinary or using what we will call today dangerous chemicals and procedures to clean. In moving from that traditional way of providing the service to the green cleaning philosophy, cleaning for health, we have issues of cost. Okay, the system lacks maybe what I would call research-based manufacturers of cleaning inputs, such that we have to rely on cleaning inputs, green cleaning inputs imported, abroad, without economic challenges, with inflation and the exchange rate, always going against the market. You find a situation where the final consumers of our services would rather go for the lowest bidder. Okay, because the pricing of green cleaning proposals seems to be on the high side because of those economic factors, that I've mentioned. So there will be, and again, the market is, there isn't too much awareness. There isn't enough awareness as to the need, to engage in green cleaning. Even the clients are not very aware that a lot of of advantages of green cleaning. So when you go marketing to them, that look, we need to implement systems and introduce products that would safeguard health, and protect the provider of the service, the clients, and the society at large, they begin to wonder, because as far as they are concerned, it's just for the place to be clean physically. It could be clean physically, but you could have hurt the environment, and that's against the philosophy of green cleaning, And at the end of the day, you'll be lecturing a group of people who are just looking at the bottom line, who just want to look at what the figures are saying. So you'll be comparing apples with tomatoes at the end of the day. You're talking about green cleaning, they're talking about cleaning generally. And when you're talking about adjusting or responding to the economy, of course, cleaning is the first one that takes the first hit. You want to wind down the extent of cleaning services and the extent of cleaning available. So you cut the numbers, and then people are forced, to engage in practices that are otherwise green. So by the time the system changes such that the regulations are in place, the government has the will, the public also has the hunger, and they show concern for material safety data sheets for them to know the contents of what you're using and your procedure. Then I think the market is very wide, for green cleaning products and practices. For example, you find people sweeping the streets, and these sweepers will just sweep into the drains. Personally, they lack the skill, they lack the knowledge. That look, you don't do that, you don't block the drains. A typical cleaner, cleaning a building might just take the walk-off mat, raise it in the air, and start hitting it to dust off to remove the dirt, and that pollutes the environment. People around will inhale the dust. even when you use manufactured chemicals like fragrances, those that have fragrances, these are also pollutants in a way, because they create allergy, or they trigger asthma in people. It causes a lot of problems for the health, of people. So as long as the problems are there and the needs, there is a huge need, to go green. So it remains as huge as, what the market is able to absorb. So in Nigeria, it is at its infancy. A green cleaning concept is at its infancy, and we have a long way to go. So for those who are able to, for companies who are able to put together, a competitive package in that direction, I think the sky may be the beginning. Yeah. I would like to pause.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Tunde. That was really detailed and insightful. I would next go to Mr. Paul. Mr. Paul, would you like to add to this point? What is the need in your experience for green cleaning?
Right now, I'll say the potential is great, but by need, I think you're talking about what's probably going to drive demand for green cleaning. And we don't really have that, right? The clients who are the demand organizations are not talking about green cleaning. They're talking about the cheapest cleaning right now. This is 95% of the customer base, right? The cleaning companies are basically trying to survive. They are providing a service that's in response to the demand in the market, right? So it will be utopian for a cleaning service provider to start talking green cleaning unless the client actually is, beginning to ask about green cleaning. So it is near zero from my experience in terms of, drivers. There are no real drivers. The kind of drivers that could have propelled demand for green cleaning would have been statutory regulations. Okay, so if the government has come up with certain form of regulations to prescribe, certain environmental penalties for recklessness in the cleaning habits and practices we have right now, maybe that will start spurring some demand and some need. It's ideal to think green cleaning, but my experience is that the economy has to be, the economics of it has to be right. So if you're a cleaning provider right now and you're talking green cleaning, you are actually looking at a niche, less than 1% of the customer base you're trying to reach out to. So it's a market that needs to be developed, right? And so the private sector and the public sector need to work together to actually create policies and systems that will spur that demand. And then we can begin to talk about green cleaning. The 1%, the suboptimal, that 1% that's probably talking green cleaning today, are mainly because of companies trying to differentiate using quality management systems like ISO standards, and environmental standards, and using that to differentiate themselves in the industry so they can place themselves at a premium, right? So such organizations, because of these international standards, are beginning to go that direction. And so you see a few companies able to provide services to this niche in the market. So really, that's my take on the need. We need to create the need. We need to provide awareness to client organizations. We need to provide technical training to cleaning companies. We need to make government start creating some kind of regulation that will make them even listen to us when we talk about green cleaning.
Thank you so much, Mr. Paul. Now we'll quickly go over to Mr. Alan because he is the end user that you have been referring to. So, Mr. Alan, tell us, how do you think green cleaning, what is the need for green cleaning in Nigeria?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me. So I will agree also with Mr. Paul exactly. Cleaning companies in Nigeria are trying to survive. the cleaning policy is not in the market till now. Maybe we are the only hotel certified in Abuja by green policy, and another one in Lagos. So it's a new thing. As I agree with him totally, we should all take role in this one as cleaning companies, as private sectors, as hotels. Because let me tell you now, 2022, all Wyndham hotels and resorts, we have to be in the green policy worldwide. It's a must for us. And knowing now, we even as hotels trying to survive. The depreciation of dollar to naira is really affecting each and every hotels company in Nigeria. So we have to go green policy is environmental, is saving for us, but we need to introduce it to the market, especially to the government section, because the government sector, there's no green policy. We're not going in this. Even the private, it's too costly on us. So it's very complicated in here. But I think the future, yes, I agree also with Mr. Tunde, the future is green cleaning in Nigeria should be. But as also is mentioned, it's too hard now. And with the situation now, it's really too hard.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your opinion. We have a question, an interesting question from the audience. Perhaps Mr. Tunde, you can take it. Mohammed Khalil has asked a question. Does Africa have a solid regulation of green cleaning products, or are they still using other certifications from USA and Europe?
When you look at the literatures, I think of the whole, you find about 34 countries in Africa that have tried to legislate in favor of green cleaning, if we put it that way. But these are by means of environmental standards. Okay. In Nigeria, for example, we have maybe a host of agencies like NESRIA, which is the National Environmental Standards and Regulations Enforcement Agency. That's a government agency, as the name implies. So if you look at the clauses of the act, you will see that it's all focused on protecting the environment, okay, and promoting health and safety, as it were. You have the National Biosafety Management Agency, also in Nigeria. You have the HORECON, which is the Environmental Health Officers Registration Council of Nigeria, and you have the state EPAs. All the 36 states in Nigeria have their, environmental protection agencies. So the laws are there, the standards are there. And then, of course, you have the management certification, the ISO standards, to also meet. But see, we have the structures, but we lack, like Mr. Rubami also said, we just lack that, the steam. The steam is not there, and they're all there. It's the day we wake up to implement what we have on the ground. It's not lack of laws. It is lack of spirit or interest or capacity, to play out on this thing. The laws are they're there. They're comparable with anywhere in the world. But a country like Kenya, has come out boldly, to enact its own, and they're very vicious about it. Nigeria's laws too, when I looked at it, they're very vicious too, but the government lacks the will, to do that. And then by the time you draw that, thing on the ground, it becomes a political decision at the end of the day. And, it's the ballot box, that's most important to the policymakers, to the politicians at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tunde. We have another question from the audience from Sebastiano. Sebastiano asks, what are the greenest countries in terms of legislation and certifications in Africa, especially in tenders requirements? Would anybody like to take this question? Mr. Paul, would you like to answer this question?
The greenest countries?
The greenest countries in terms of legislation and certifications in Africa, especially in tenders requirements.
To be honest, I've gone through all of those legislations that Mr. Tunde talked about, and they mostly they mostly talk about waste management, environmental pollution. I have not really come across something that's specifically green cleaning, because green cleaning is more internal of the building space than external, right? So there's very little, from my experience, regarding legislation for green cleaning in Africa, especially in Nigeria that we're speaking from. Maybe if I dig a little bit deeper, I might find some, green cleaning legislations. But to the best of my knowledge right now, we really don't have specific green cleaning legislation. There are a few laws like you listed. There are some that ban certain chemicals, from being used. There are some that come up with safety regulations, environmental hazards and regulations. Natural environment protection laws. There's so many of such laws, but I think there should be something specific, to the internal spaces that we live in. We spend more than 90% of our time. Some people spend more than 95% of their time in the built environment, right? We have very little time outdoors these days, right? So there should be more focus on how that internal environment make us feel, how that ambience, that wellness and health that internal spaces give should be focused on. So I still think we are doing a lot of borrowed efforts in Africa. I stand to be corrected, but that's my current opinion.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your opinion. Moving on to the next question. Alessandro, tell us about the pros of green cleaning for different facilities like hotels, airports, shopping malls, so many facilities.
So the question is, sorry, can you please repeat it again?
What are the pros of green cleaning?
The pros, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes, in general, the pros are more safety, because of also one of the speakers was mentioning before, and we also have in our case, of course, I can talk more deeply about examples of my experience and what our company is doing. Actually, for greener products like recycled or eco-natural, which is a product made starting from beverage cartons, we also have reduced costs for this product in particular, and this is also letting us have a let me say competitive advantage also because of the high increase of raw and virgin fibers in the market. So recycled products in this very moment are less expensive than pure pulp and virgin fiber spawns. So we have kind of a win-win approach in this sense. So we have we have the possibility to save or at least to protect the planet by saving trees, and also on the other sense to have reduced costs for our customers. So at least for European market in general, but this is something valid also to other countries because even with the export cost, our let me say sustainable range is more competitive in terms of price against the pure pulp one. We have the chance to let me say spread the message and to have a proper rollout of our international strategy also for greener products. This is just talking about the tissue market, and that also, as I was mentioning before, for all these customers, you were saying, we are able to provide some tools in order to let them know in advance what is the environmental impact of their products, of the products we are offering them. Also, with a comparison between pure pulp and recycled materials or fiber packs, so the products which are made starting from beverage cartons. In this particular sense, when we are promoting or selling also our sustainable range, we usually suggest to go for the complete system, which includes also our dispensers made by aluminum and polyethylene, which is, let me say, the residual part, the balance of what we use for beverage carton. So the beverage carton itself is made by cellulose and aluminum and polyethylene. So we are able to suggest and to promote a full offer, both for tissue and dispensers. And this is just an example of how we can support these kind of businesses. Um, Talking about about this, I would also mention the fact that more and more companies, even smaller ones, if compared with the past, are let me say, not forced by the market, but in some cases it's also true, are pushed by the market needs to have a sustainability report. So for this matter and for this purpose, the usage also of these kind of products is a great advantage to show better results and to their investors, to their stakeholders. So this is a way also to let this message be rolled out and spread in a more effective way.
Thank you, Alessandro. Mr. Alain, would you like to add to this? What are the benefits or pros of green cleaning that you've seen in your hotel?
Well, there is something now in hospitality, internally in hotels. We call it housekeeping green. So that means the chemical we are using should not be harmful for the guests, especially when the guest touch, like you give him the key, you have to go enter the rooms. So this not should not be harmful. So it's a long it's a long one to keep the unharmful for the guests coming. Mainly, I agree with Mr. Also Alessandro, the packages coming and okay, there's something important also. The use of water with the chemical also, it's harmful at the moment. So all this one, we should work on them as a green policy. And now, as I told you, in 2022 is a must green policy for all, like mostly all brands are going to this one or going to this green policy. And with the is with the work also with the collaboration of the Green Key in the US is the number one green key policy worldwide. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Alain. Mr. Tunde, would you like to add to this? What are the benefits of green cleaning for the cleaning industry and for the end facilities as well?
Okay, there is no harm in repeating the fact that the concept of green cleaning, still hovers around cleaning for health. All right, in such a way that it doesn't harm the environment, of course, and the people. So that's the core of green cleaning, and it's actually the practice and the products that make up, the goal, of green cleaning. So basically, there's an experience here I want to share. Mr. Paul talked about the indoor aspect, well, maybe indoor air quality is the basic thing. When Mr. Alexander talked about, he talked about the customer coming into the hotel and he wants to be confronted with a very safe environment. Okay, but that depends on what the cleaner uses. Okay, so if you come in with an air freshener, you would call it an air freshener to make it smell nice. But in natural science, scientifically, that's a pollutant.
The pollutants.
But it
It's a
should be
pollutant.
eco-friendly. I'm saying it should be eco-friendly. I'm not saying it should be eco-friendly always.
Yeah. So it's a pollutant, really. I don't know if the Paul will take on that. It's a pollutant, they are petrochemicals, So really, the best air freshener you will find is where the fragrance is actually zero. Okay, that is why nature has zero fragrance. Okay, so but in other areas like polishes or like the floor coatings, I know that in the mid-90s we introduced into Nigeria thermoplastic floor polishing system, which has to do with stripping the floor using strippers, sealing the floor, coating the floor, that is polishing, and then subjecting it to high-speed burnishing. if you look at it very well, even the stripper itself, which is heavy in ammonia, is a pollutant. It's polluting. I mean, it's not safe. And when you discard of it, you remove that from the floor and you throw it in the drains. Again, that is hurting the environment because it might find its way into the sewage and actually kill the friendly bacteria. So if you look at the chain effect of that, it's harmful to the environment. Then if you're talking about the polish itself on the floor, the hotels will tell you, look, I want my floor to shine very well. That means you put the polish on the floor. And if you want the good polish, talk about the one that is scuff-free, scratch-free, that is hard on the floor. You're talking about products that require a lot of zinc, the zinc cross-link, which the green cleaners have told us, we know that the green scientists have told us, look, that's not the way to go. So you find a lot of manufacturers these days substituting zinc with other materials that are eco-friendly, really. These are not immediately known to the client or even the hotel customer, right? This will be known to the service provider, But again, you find a situation where the client, maybe the hotel now, for example, or a banquet or anywhere, will tell you, look, let's have the material safety data sheet of your products. Yeah, when I hear that, I'm happy because I think the person is thinking green. But lo and behold, it ends just there. It's just document. You give them the documents. If you tell them you're going to use this green product or this green version of stripper, green version of polish, green version of air freshener, yeah, they'll tick it on the books that, yeah, you're a green cleaner. But what you actually put on the ground or on the floor there may not be green. So that has to do with the integrity, of the service provider, which again, Mr. Paul talked about the competition. Let's put it that way, the economics of it, It's expensive, really. You find a situation where the ordinary products are they're a bit cheaper, relatively cheaper than the green products. So even though you're bidding for, you're submitting material safety data sheets that suggest you're green there, but at the end of the day, the client not willing to pay for that might slash your bill, when you are 6 months into the thing, and then you are forced to consider alternatives. So but at the end of the day, his floor will still shine, the banister will still shine, and he's not interested in the chemical component of the stainless steel cleaner you're using, So and it goes on like that.
Thank you, Mr. Tunde. Mr. Paul, would you like to add to this?
Yes, just that a few companies are beginning to see the advantages of differentiating themselves as a premium service provider or a premium hotel or a premium. So if you have sustainability credentials, like green cleaning credentials, you have the rights, as it were, to attract select choice clients who are discerning. You can charge some premium. You are perceived as a high quality environment, right? So for those who have gone ahead to make that plunge into green cleaning and gotten some certification to cover that, they are seen as premium places. So to a large extent, they win, clients and the businesses improve, of course. But then they took a risk, they took a chance, of losing out in the competition initially, but were able to, through differentiation, win customer base.
This is very true.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And the eco-friendly, okay, in Abuja, it's just Diversey who's eco-friendly for housekeeping in all Abuja. And the prices, you cannot compare it to other prices. It's very much expensive than the local products, the other products. Mm-hmm. And then what you said, yes, true. We cannot make up with the competition, but we have to make it as it should be.
Yeah.
We have another question from the audience, from Mario. Mario asks, what are the needs and importance of training employees and customers on green cleaning? Would anybody like to take this question? What are the
Yeah.
needs and importance of training employees and customers on green cleaning?
I think it's very important to start with advocacy. Professional bodies and associations should work on advocacy outreaches where you get customers, clients, organizations, demand organizations actually reoriented, right? So they can begin to see the value of green cleaning and begin to rewrite their procurement policies in such a way that they begin to specify green cleaning requirements as part of their specifications for procurement. That will spur demand in the industry, and that will force cleaning service providers to look for training and consulting services to equip their team on how to select the right products, the right work methods to respond to this demand. So we start from from the service, from the clients and the demand, spur the demand, and then supply will follow with this change.
Thank you, Paul. We have another question from Mustafa Baba. Mustafa says, green policy is the future of cleaning. I operate a steam cleaning business in Nigeria, and the main challenge I have encountered is customer enlightenment. Steam is safe, conserves the use of water, eco-friendly, but getting that across to customers hasn't been easy. Alessandro, would you like to take that on? How can the customer be made more aware about green cleaning methods?
Yeah.
Because it's the customer here maybe who doesn't understand that green cleaning is better for them.
Yeah, talking about again our experiences, Luca, we are providing with a set of tools. For example, we have leveraged on the situation last year to develop a bunch of instruments, both digital and printed, to spread the message across our main customers in different sectors, from public schools to hotels, restaurants, and our main our main targets, with some tips and suggestions for the different areas of their typical environments. For example, for the HoReCa sector, we have developed this digital tool, which is also available from in our Luca Professional website, in order to, as I was saying, we were providing some tips also related to our products. For example, how to clean and how to keep safe the kitchen, the table area, or other typical areas of their venues, in relation also to some of our core products, tissue and soap mainly. Of course, this was also a commercial project, but we took the chance also on an increased sensitivity about from our customers in that particular period, in that particular time, to push with this particular also tool, commercial tool. And this is just an example. So this increase, and so how to get our customers so more in the know, so to increase their knowledge, we rely on our sales force and our digital media. So, for example, with the opening, in our case again, and this will require an investment from the industry of a LinkedIn page for our local professional brand, so our hero brand. We are leveraging also on that channel, on that medium, in order to speak directly to our end customers and not just with our distributors, which remain, of course, one of the pillars of our route to market. But we think that we need to invest more and more also in the next future in means, in tools that are not just products themselves, but also services to convey this kind of messages.
Thank you so much, Alessandro.
Okay.
Paul, would you like to add to that? Would you like to address Mustafa's situation since you are also based in Nigeria? Would you like to address this?
I can directly relate with this challenge, right? I think the way to start, instead of waiting for the public to become aware before your business kicks off, you probably need to start looking for organizations that are already having certain quality certifications, sustainability credentials that you can say this is going to help, add value to what you already stand for. So I wouldn't sell this kind of service to every customer out there. I'll have to, do more strategic segmentation of the market and probably go after the 1% who already are ready for steam cleaning, for example, now, while also participating in industry initiative, corporate initiative to provide more awareness and enhance the knowledge of potential customers. So you can find first those who are ready and then support the process of making others ready for this kind of cleaning.
Thank you so much, Paul. Moving on to our next question. What are the challenges of green cleaning and how can we overcome them? Alessandro, if you can give us a global perspective before we move on to Nigeria in particular.
Let's say from a global perspective, I think the greatest challenge is the cost reduction. Let's say in our case, for the tissue market, maybe we are in a privileged position, but as my colleagues, our guests were rightfully spotting, it's not the same in all the industry. So usually the greener product is costing not as much as the not green product. So there is, I think, a need for governments to invest and to apply some regulation and some, let's say, decreased taxation for greener products. So this is, of course, something that it's not completely driven by the industry. The industry will need some support in this. Otherwise, if there is no top-down push for some countries, that would definitely this will not definitely come from a bottom-up request, so from a request from the customer themselves. So of course, the single person doesn't care a lot about the environment if it has to run a business which is already maybe compromised and jeopardized by the global crisis and by the pandemic. So of course there has to be an increased say regulation from governments in order to have a proper taxation, less taxation on greener products. And let's say I think that is the main challenge because I can't find anything else more important than that in the short term at least.
Thank you so much, Alessandro.
Okay.
Paul, what do you think are the challenges associated with green cleaning specifically in Nigeria, and how can we overcome them?
From my experience as a facility manager, green cleaning is supposed to be a vital component of operational readiness that should be part of the planning and design stage of buildings, right? If you have a high-rise, a large mall or market or something where cleaners don't even have a place to store their cleaning materials, they have to use under the staircase, for example, or use the tea room to put their mops and their cleaning equipment. Nobody thought about them even when we were designing the buildings. So you end up building this large edifice. The programming was done to meet the needs of the users, and operational readiness was forgotten, maintainability issues was ignored, and minimal lip service was paid to how this facility is going to be maintained and cleaned, forever. So we start from there, right? So design teams, architects, and designers need to be taught about green cleaning so they can begin to, have considerations for operational readiness that includes green cleaning and sustainability issues, access issues. That's the first part. And then material choices. I mean, when you use a facility, you want to see it clean, right? So if you use materials that can take stains and will not let go, no matter how hard you try to clean, guys are forced to go and look for acidic, content and harmful content to take off stains, right? So if you think green cleaning, you think about material choices and surface finishing that will be amenable to, steam and all these other green cleaning products we're talking about. So if we don't start thinking from the beginning, from the planning and design, material choices, work methods and building systems, we'll lose it first, right? And then if the owners and the designers can agree to incorporate this, when we get to the point of actually implementing the operations and maintenance of the facility, then green cleaning is now written into procurement policies and procedures. So that makes it easier to know what to specify in terms of clean materials and clean methods and all of that. Because we've thought about it from the onset, it's easy to incorporate that into the operations.
Thank you so much. Mr. Tunde, would you like to add to that? What, in your experience, has been the biggest challenge in green cleaning in Nigeria, and how can it be overcome?
Yeah, if I take Paul's submission as the infrastructure or the foundation of it all, on which we now build, we are the service providers, we'll go back to the issue of awareness. The challenge of green cleaning also goes to as far as the awareness of the public and the practitioners. Right? We've not been talking about the practitioners. We've been talking about the public. You find everybody telling you that he's an expert, he's a trainer, he's a this, he's a that, he's a facility manager, he's a facility supervisor, whatever he is, without having the knowledge. Okay? There is no formal institution, that will certify, that will train and certify those to provide the cleaning service. However, we have a body in Nigeria, CPAN, the Cleaning Practitioners Association of Nigeria, which is taking on that heavily. That is to provide the technical inputs, provide it to the practitioners, to the average cleaners. You take them from the little level and tell them, look, this is acid and this is alkaline. You use acid there, don't use acid there. Generally, you don't want to use acid because it's not friendly to the environment. But like Paul said, fluid, any stain, and then it goes. The gas, the dangerous gas that it releases, goes straight into their lungs and everywhere. And if you experiment with that, in my training school, we show them that, you release such things, where you have stainless steel. And you see the process of oxidation. And you say, look, see what happens to this beautiful stainless steel, when it's exposed to the gas that comes out of acid. And you imagine what happens in your body. Okay? So such practical exposures, they're able to appreciate. You tell them to wear hand gloves for clean toilets, a lot of them will look at you and say, it's too hot, they cannot wear this, they cannot wear that. But we're able to show them visual aid. That's training. To show them through visual aid what organisms are like and what they can cause, and the effect of that. With COVID, all over the place, and Ebola, we just still survive. I think it's clearer, to these providers what happened. So a lot of education needs, to be done. We need to put training. We have to intensify training, to cure, the death of knowledge and awareness. The process of half-baked training professionals in the industry is also a worry, point of concern, and we need the government essentially, to come into that, and flush out the quacks, so to say. They're really trying that. La CEPA and some other state agencies, are really, coming up with such tendencies, and it can only improve. The undue preference for the lowest bidder also encourages quackery. So by the time the buying public is sensitized and enlightened to the extent that they know that not just the bottom line that matters, I think it will help. We've talked about the weak regulatory systems that will continue to be improved upon, should continue to be improved upon. Then the death of research-based manufacturing of green products in the country is also a big problem. To answer to encourage, those of us in practice may approach tertiary institutions and support some of their research, because government is not going to do everything. And I think from my organization, we've tried it once with one of the colleges of technology, and the oldest one, of course, is Yaba College of Tech. You move to them and we're able to tell them, look, this Bonisha does this, it does that. Can we talk to your students, and maybe we can get something better than this and something better than that. That way, if the private sector upskills its interest and not leave everything to government, I think it will help us all. The heavy reliance on imported green solutions is also there. One of the speakers talked about the economy is not friendly. Even the multinationals, some of them who have embraced green cleaning, you submit your proposals, they buy it, they agree with you, maybe they give you the job. Once there's a change of management, right, there's a problem, because the incoming management may not see, the benefit that the outgoing management was able to see. And then you find a lot of the the buyers, those who play the buyer role in those organizations, are least qualified. You run into accountants, bankers, and insurance people, trying to negotiate and about
Specifying cleaning.
yes, specifying cleaning. There was a time I was faced with a panel of a bank, who the bank was being rejected, and they were interviewing everybody from MD down to drivers and cleaners. And when it got to my turn, I didn't know when I told them that they didn't have the competence, to talk about what we're talking about. Yes, I lost the job. Definitely, but yeah, you won't leave the job, because if you could tell chartered accountant, from the Ivy League institutions that, look, you don't have the competence to talk. It was a Paul that I met there. I'm sure it wouldn't be a thing like that. So they bring in engineers and accountants and bankers, because they want you to talk to them about green cleaning. They don't care a hoot. They look at the bottom line, they look at their funny calculators, and then tell you if you've won the job or you've lost the job. So a lot of enlightenment. I think enlightenment and enlightenment. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tunde. Mr. Alan, what are the challenges that you face in green cleaning, and how do you overcome them?
It's a big challenge to convince the guests about the green cleaning policy, even. When the guests will come, as Mr. Paul said, if no good smell, there's no good odor in the lobby, oh, I will not enter, we are not using anything. It's very complicated, really. The hard part is to convince the guests that we are doing this because of you.
Yes.
We are doing this for a better health for you, to preserve you, human health better, to save our employees and our guests. But at the end, as Mr. Paul is saying, it's very hard to convince them. But if they will put it as is for Windham, they put for all hotels, it's a must to be done by 2022. That means if the private sector, with alliance with the government agency, will go to this policy 2022, it will be easier for us to convince about green cleaning policy, green cleaning products, how it saves the health of the guests, the health of the employees. It could make a change. And we all together, as Mr. Tundi said, we have to make this change, and we have to go ahead for this one. And even knowing it's more expensive than the normal chemical, is maybe multiplied by 2 or 3 here in Nigeria. And I'm talking about Abuja market. It's multiplied by 3, honestly speaking. Yes, Mr. Tunde, by 3.
Yes, it is true.
It's very true now.
Yeah, it is true. Yeah.
Okay, I think we are short on time, but we have two more questions from the guests which haven't been addressed yet. So we'll quickly take them. So Rollins asks, are there any demand for green cleaning or eco? Just a second. Are there any demand for green cleaning or eco products from private sector in Nigeria?
I think I stressed a little bit earlier that there are certain companies that are already, positioning themselves as a niche brand, as a differentiating using quality standards and sustainability metrics as credentials for promoting themselves. They will definitely go for this service right now, but it's still like a needle in a haystack, So it's for whoever has this service, to find that niche and identify those clients.
Thank you, Paul. We have another question from Oludare. He says, besides the cost of green cleaning products, there is a challenge of availability, Nigeria as a case. So how can the use be consistent by service providers? I think, Paul, you are the best person to answer this.
It's a big challenge. You'll find it so difficult to import products and be able to be consistent in meeting even if it's just one client's needs, right? So, like Tunde mentioned earlier on, until we start having local research on green cleaning products and methods, and start rolling out, production lines of such products, we will still struggle with sustaining a service. You could start, and then when the client is not looking, you end up mixing things up on the premises. So I think it's important that if we're going to have a sustained green cleaning operation for any client, the client must be directly involved in the sourcing of the products. I wouldn't give a fixed term contract. For example, for a green cleaning requirement, I will have to separate the procurement from the services. So I could have a trained team who are providing the services, and I'll get the client directly involved in the sourcing of the green cleaning product. That way, he will have to deal with the fluctuations, because, you could have dollar at 400 naira and it is 700 naira the next day. You just wake up and your costs have doubled. So really, it's unsustainable as it is right now if we have to keep importing products.
And this is what happened to us now in the end of this year. It's really getting worse and worse even.
Yeah.
By the exchange and this thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It looks like we've covered all of our questions. Thank you to all our listeners and to all our speakers. We appreciate you being here and hope this brief session has helped you gain perspective on the green cleaning in Nigeria. For those who missed the details about our upcoming event, Media Future and ISA Polar are also organizing a trade show for the professional cleaning and hygiene industry in West Africa. The show will be held in Landmark Center, Lagos between 16th to 18th November 2022. Do participate in this exclusive trade show to meet new suppliers, make new partnerships, and a lot more. Thank you once again for joining us today, and we will see you next month with another exciting webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.